We're back with another daily reflection on the Daily Vedantic. And today's reflection is on the concept of the world as opposites. Within the Upanishads and within the broader Vedantic literature, there is a continuity, a theme, that this relative world is just a world of opposites. You cannot have a wave that is only crest. You cannot have mountains without valleys. The world is opposites. Pleasure, pain, hot, cold. The world is opposites. Though we strive to rid ourselves of any of the opposites we find uncomfortable, ones we don't want, the cold when it's too cold, rid ourselves of the heat when it's too hot. We wish for a career that has no troughs or valleys and only peaks. That is like looking for a one-sided coin. It cannot exist. The symbol within Taoism of the yin and the yang, that is an overview of a mountain range, the white and the black, the light and the shade that falls on the ridge of a mountain. You cannot have a light side of a mountain without having a dark side. And even if you think in life you can get that 72 degrees so perfectly in your house, the sun sits right over that mountaintop so perfectly that it's light on both sides. Well, it comes with its opposite. Before long, it's going to be dark on both sides. So the symbol really rings true, not only throughout nearly every philosophy, but also in our daily experience. The world is opposites. So what do you do with this knowledge? As my teacher, Swami Parthasarathi, says all of the time, he said this for 60 years, to expect the worst is pessimism, but to be prepared for the worst, that is philosophy. It's not to expect cold on the other side of heat. It's not to expect suffering just because you're enjoying joy, but it is to be prepared for it because the world is opposites. Find me a life experience, a journey that is only ups and no downs, and you'd be the first in the history of the world to have found such a journey. And if you have found it, write about it in the comments because I want to hear about it. But if you're like the rest of us, then there is this tension within us of knowing that the world is opposites without ever hearing those words and hoping it's not. But to hope for the best. As they say in business quite often, hope is not a plan. I remember a friend calling it hopium, to get addicted to hope. That's not clarity. That is delusion. And it leaves us wildly underprepared for when reality sets in and the opposite returns. And when you're going through that depth, that trough in life, well, you know that the world is opposites. This too shall pass. And the peak is on its way as well. I actually find it quite comforting when I think about this concept, the world is opposites. Not because I'm okay with whatever suffering is coming my way, but because in the midst of joy, I can prepare for the inevitability of suffering. I don't need to obsess over it. I don't need to expect it, but to be prepared for it. That is philosophy. And when I'm in the midst of it, I know that its opposite is on its way. This has been today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. The world is opposites. Thanks for listening to the Daily Vedantic. This reflection is part of a free repeating 2-year course in Advaita Vedanta. Rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Upanishads, arguably the oldest philosophical texts on earth, you can begin with episode 1, which gives the 15-minute overview of the whole philosophy of Vedanta, or you can join the journey with any episode at any point. But the critical aspect of this course, of understanding and mastering anything is to study and reflect, even for 10 to 15 minutes on the timeless each day, preferably at the start of your day. As is said in this philosophy, reflection is 100,000 times as powerful as listening. So listen, journal, sit with, discuss these concepts, or ask questions at thedailyvedantic.com with our AI-powered chatbot informed by about 700 episodes here, as regularly as one can if you want to see clarity and peace almost effortlessly unfold in your daily life. And if it doesn't result in a near immediate increase in clarity and peace, then toss aside and feel free to never listen again. One of the things that you might notice is after 7 or 8 days in a row, this doesn't feel like a discipline. This feels like a visit with a best friend to dive into the timeless with daily reflection. Within a few days, it becomes one of your favorite parts of the day. You can also find out more, including news about in-person events in Los Angeles and beyond, at the Daily Vedantic on Instagram or through our weekly newsletter at thedailyvedantic.com. Additionally, check out the links in our show notes for more resources like the books that are mentioned most frequently in the episodes, including Vedanta Treatise, perhaps the simplest and most straightforward read on this philosophy I've ever come across. Until next time, and from the entire team that works on the Daily Vedantic project, thanks for listening.